is our first time duo comboing for Antonelli's Cheese Club. So you're going to get a whole lot of energy.
A lot. There's a lot to say here, and we're very excited about this month's theme in particular for September. You've got Halloween coming up next month, and everybody's kind of thinking about all the like fun childhood memories. And so, of course, as being babies of the 80s, we wanted to feature some soul cheeses of some of our most favorite 80s movie characters.
Yeah, so if we took one of those characters and we personified them in cheese and or what would they love to eat on, this is what our team had a whole lot of fun coming up with this. Actually, it was like an all-out brawl to determine which characters got to be.
There were some very strong contenders.
I just want you to picture a brawl in the cheese house about which 80s characters are we featuring. All right, so we got to set the tone for you. We had to do everything we could not to wear our high ponies, shoulder pads, neon sweatbands.
Looked for my crimper this morning. That's a lie. I don't know. Maybe. If I'd had one, I would have done it. Because that's how dedicated I am to this.
And as you're hearing this, you either know exactly what we're talking about because you remember the 80s very well, or you may have only read about it in history books. So fear not, we're here to take you through it and guide you through it. So in the 80s, to set the tone, the vernacular that was popular was like Surfer Valley Girl style, so tubular and totally.
Cowabunga.
All of those.
Yeah.
Let's see, movies, we're going to talk you through some, but it was also like E.T., Top Gun, those were all coming out.
Absolutely.
Big singers.
Indiana Jones for sure.
Oh,
yeah, I mean, of course, this is like the era of Madonna and Prince and Bowie, which again, I will contend are still contemporary music.
Yes, absolutely.
Timeless.
What else?
And this is also the era when MTV still played music.
Yes.
You know.
And I think actually, it came out in that time playing music.
Yeah.
Personal computers, that's when this came on.
Yes. Cell phones the size of a phone book.
Yes.
Zach Morris with his like giant,
Atari and Nintendo came out, and so this is when we first get Mario Brothers and Zelda. I was like, oh, John's gonna get really mad if I forget to say Zelda. John was a Zelda player.
So I was not allowed. My brother had several, Nintendos growing up in the 80s. I was never allowed to play because this was before they were wireless, right? So they're still connected to the wall. And when Mario jumped, so did Casey. So I destroyed several gaming systems. So I was, unless it was Duck Hunt, I was no longer allowed to play video games.
Okay.
So.
I love that digression. Casey and I can digress a lot. So, okay, we've set the scene, I think. Also, fun fact, in case you didn't know, we are considered Xennials. That's our generation. I was born 81, 82. And there's this micro generation, and it's because we grew up in the 80s for the first part of our lives without devices, and then devices came on the scene when we got into like middle school or junior high. So we are this little one that doesn't fit in the before and after because it came about in our lives. So we remember being put outside to run around and go entertain yourself. There's nothing else to entertain you. To all the way by the end of high school, then becoming more popular.
We were around when the internet came to be. So this may blow some of your little minds out there, but Kendall and I are actually before the internet.
Okay, cheese. I was like, I don't know what witty thing I'm gonna come back with that one. Okay, so cheeses. Jared wrote the menus that you get, and I was rereading it, and they're absolutely fabulous. And so our goal is really not to replicate all the information there, but to take you through the tasting and what we think and why, in our words, they were inspired by that, and then also a little bit of the science behind the cheese. So your first cheese is this beauty right here. It's the Herbes de Humboldt from Cypress Grove. This one is a fresh cheese, and this is inspired by Joan Wilder from Romancing the Stone, which is one of my favorite movies. So good. I can rewatch that one over and over. And so she's a romantic, a novelist. The Herbes de Provence is that sense of French, like I'm traveling to France in a bite just by eating it, although I'm really just a California girl. Goat's milk cheese is known for being tangy and acidic and zesty. So this is your fresh goat's milk cheese with those herbs in it. I know. Now I'm like, now you can talk now that you put that cracker in your mouth. You can see like wild hair. Goats are a little bit wild, so all of that.
Yeah, so definitely this is Joan Wilder's cheese because it's silky and it's refined and it's delicate at the same time. It's got a little bit of zing to it, which is really nice, you know. So yeah,
But she's sassy.
She's sassy. She's a sassy lady, and I respect that. So yeah, so this is absolutely a wonderful cheese. This is going to be our fresh milk cheese, or our fresh cheese of the lineup here. So this is the one that you're going to want to dig into, eat first. This is great with salads. It's great on its own. It's also really phenomenal with this Texas Keeper cider here. This is Texas Keeper #1. This is a locally made product, bone dried, effervescent, lovely. It's really going to help that creaminess of the goat cheese just sort of like pop off your palate, and you're really gonna. It's got some really nice herbaceous notes as well that are going to marry really well with all that the herbs that are in that cheese there.
Yeah, and I'm craving for some reason, I don't know why, this sounds so boring. It sounds kind of 80s, but baked chicken with this inside of it, or like rolled up within a spring salad on the side. That would be
100%.
chef's kiss. With the cider.
With the cider, of course.
All right, that was Joan Wilder. Romantic, silky, and with a little sass on the side.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, who's number 2?
Quadrello.
Oh, okay. So Quadrello, we're choosing this cheese for Data of the Goonies. Goonies never say die. Also, I tried to rewatch that movie. Okay, it totally stands up. But I rewatched it. I was watching that really young. I tried to watch it with my kids, and they were terrified. We could not watch it. We had to turn it off. Actually, we sent them to the other room, and John and I just kept watching.
I mean, 100%, because The Goonies is the greatest movie of all time.
Yeah. Okay, so Data, his character.
So he's like the analytical, like he's got like the watch that does the calculator. Again, this is before smartphones, right? So this was true state-of-the-art technology back then. And we've decided that this is Data's cheese because really, this is the most sort of like sciencey cheese out of all of them. This is Quadrello di Bufala. Comes to us from a northern Italian town just
Sorry,
outside
this is one of my favorite
I know,
cheeses. my knees just buckled a little bit. This batch is tasting particularly awesome. Continue, Casey.
Yes. So Quadrello di Bufala comes from Bergamo in northern Italy, which is about an hour outside of Milan. And it's made with water buffalo milk cheese, which is a little bit, a more sort of obscure style cheese. So again, kind of getting into that sort of, niche sort of nerdy science. But it's also a wash-rind cheese. And so this is why we've decided that, Data's cheese would be a wash-rind cheese because there's so much cool science that goes into this. So wash-rind cheeses are exactly like they sound. They're washed in like a saltwater brine as they're sort of aging. They're washed and flipped and washed and flipped. And this beautiful orange hue starts to develop on the outside of the rind.
Sunset. I like sunset hue.
Sunset hue, yes. And what that is, that's actually the color of a particular beneficial bacteria called Brevibacterium linens, or bee linens for short. And those bee linens do a lot of great things for this cheese, right? So that sort of washing the salt water on the outside is kind of like altering the pH on the surface and creating that ideal environment for those bee linens. And what those bee linens are doing is they're actually breaking down the amino acids or the proteins on the surface and producing something called glutamate. Glutamate is the G in MSG, and why MSG makes everything delicious. And that is essentially the basis of umami, So when we talk about flavors and taste and things like that, sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami is what happens in your mouth. And so they're literally creating that deliciousness experience on the outside of this cheese, and I am stoked for it.
Yes, this is made by Quattro Protoni, and Bruno is the cheesemaker, and he does it with his brothers. His brother is a veterinarian. Bruno is the one who makes the cheese. We've gotten to go visit them personally twice now, and the reason I also think this one is super innovative and captures Data's spirit is they started out making, this is based off of Taleggio, which is a cow's milk cheese, but they were like, we need to differentiate. So they got rid of all the cows on their farm and got the water buffalo. And so they're making this traditional hundreds of year old cheese that has all this history, but with water buffalo milk cheese. So while it's building on that history, it's also innovating nonstop. And you get, that meaty deliciousness, savoriness, paired with, it really doesn't need anything. So the crackers are just a good way. I made you a little bite if you want. You can eat the rind. Try the inside first without it, then try a bite with the rind. It just changes the experience. And this honestly is gonna go great with that cider too. Yeah. They're all gonna mix and match well. All right, third up, we've got a Swiss raclette. This one we're going with Falcor from the Never Ending Story. You want to take it, Casey? Because I'm just gonna cry.
Oh man, this one, I watched this one as an adult also, and that it's hard. It's a beautiful movie. So this is a Swiss raclette. And Swiss raclette is literally a cheese that is designed to be melted, right? Raclette comes from the French term raclar, which means to scrape. This is a very old, very traditional cheese that literally is just served once upon a time, just like over a fire pit. And then once it starts to melt, get kind of goopy and kind of bubbly and crisply and brown. And then you scrape that off on top of a hot carbohydrate, which like melted cheese on a hot carb. I'm here for it, right?
I just scrape it off into my mouth.
Yeah, 100%.
Careful about burns.
Yeah,
don't do that. Kids don't do that at home. Yeah.
But yeah, this is obviously Falcor's cheese, right? Because he has that like blue flame and he can melt the cheese and like how
He's a
magical.
fire-breathing dragon. Yes.
How magical is that?
And there's those weird scenes where his scales like glisten, kind of that sunset hue too. And although they're different styles of cheese, this one is also washed, and so that's why you have that sunset, that orange pinkish color to it, which is glistening on Falcor's scales.
Yeah.
The only reason I keep going, whoa, as I saw a meme recently that was like the most scarring scene of your childhood, Falcor dying, and I'm like, 100%. You're right, that was so bad.
Spoilers.
Oh, the horror. Oh yeah, if you haven't seen it, never mind. Nobody, go watch the movie. Nothing happened and I messed something up. We'll let you take it from there. Okay, so we're pairing this today
with the chorizo rioja here. So, again, because this is kind of a meatier style cheese, we've paired it with this amazing chorizo from Olympia Provisions out in Portland, Oregon. I am obsessed with Olympia Provisions and literally everything that they make. Elias Castro is the founder of Olympia Provisions. He is single-handedly trying to change the way pork production is handled in America, which is a big task, but he's also like the most passionate food person I've ever met, which is big words because like we're all pretty passionate. So to be the king of that is intense.
Like when you talk to him, he's more than we are.
I know.
So that's a lot. You like how I keep making you talk and I'm just eating over here? Yeah, so I love that. Pair the spice with it. You can actually eat the rind on this. It's mold ripened, but you can also peel off that casing as well.
Yeah, it's a choose your own adventure. Yeah. You remember those?
Yes.
That's
those were the best books. Oh my gosh. And you got, choose this, flip to page 87. Yeah. I was trying to outsmart the book.
Yeah,
anyway.
Me too.
Okay, number 4, we're moving to our manchego. This just isn't any manchego. It's 1605. Amazing manchego. That's not part of the name. It should be.
It should be.
Before we talk about the cheese, this one is for the Princess Bride, Inigo Montoya. You killed my father, prepare to die. I just saw this great thing recently. Yes, we all love him. And Mandy Patinkin. Hello. That's like one of the best actors ever. I didn't even know that was him until recently when Homeland and all that resurfaced. Follow him on social media. He is hilarious with his wife and like teaching his dogs tricks. And anyway, back to the character, Inigo Montoya, who is from Spain. And The Princess Bride was actually based on a book beforehand. And then the movie came out, I think, in 1987. Rob Reiner's movie, and it's based, his character is from Spain, and this hilarious thing I saw about networking recently was like, be like Inigo Montoya. State your name, state your purpose, and set expectations. It's like, hi, my name is Inigo Montoya, you killed my father. Oh, just create relatedness. My name is Inigo Montoya, you killed my father, prepare to die. So it's like, just repeat that in networking and you're good to go.
Yeah, but don't, but substitute in the things that are appropriate to what you're talking about.
Or just go try to do that and see what happens after your next networking.
That would work.
Okay.
I would give you my business card.
So, you're like, that's different. Okay, this manchego. Why this manchego?
So this is definitely artisan, right? This is handcrafted. So the definition of like artisan and farmstead. Farmstead means that it's actually like made on the same property where the animals live and where they're milked and all of that. And then artisan means that it's made by hand rather than being made by like giant machines, right? So this is old school. This is the way manchego has been made for hundreds and hundreds of years. No shortcuts done here. One of the coolest things about manchego is this beautiful sort of like cross-hatching rind that we're all very familiar with. When you see a manchego, it's very recognizable. And that is because once upon a time in La Mancha, which is where this cheese comes from, Don Quixote. Anyway,
it's referred to in Don Quixote's. Okay.
Yeah, Spain. So La Mancha, or in La Mancha, they would make cheeses, and when they would press the curds out, they would press them in these hand-woven baskets. And those baskets would leave these really cool sort of etchings on the outside. Of course, now they're made in plastic molds because we can wash those and we feel good about that. But still an amazing, beautiful, beautiful cheese.
This is also a special one because normally they're wax rind or they have this paraffin wax painting on them that you're saying. This is a natural rind one, so definitely eat the rind with this. And while we are specifically telling you to try it with the Mayana Spice Bar, this is gonna go great with the red wine we're gonna talk about. Also with your Chorizo Rioja, so yes, there's a reason we put all these together. Okay, so the Mayana Spice Bar is delicious. We discovered them at the Good Food Awards. I can't eat it and talk at the same time.
So this is kind of the first sort of confection that we ever carried in the shop. So by confection, we mean like candy bar, right? And this is bonkers. It is so good. So this is like all the guilty pleasures kind of rolled in one. It's a little sweet, a little salty, a little spicy. So cocoa comes from Central America originally. And it was originally consumed without any sugar at all, with a lot of spices, so it was kind of hot and acrid and ceremonial, if you will. So what they've done is they've taken a lot of those same spices that it was traditionally served with and added that into the chocolate, and they put some caramel on top because why not, right? But then the best part is that secret little punch at the bottom. So Mayans were known for eating corn, beans, and squash as primarily part of their diet. So what they've done is they've taken corn chips to, again, kind of throw back to the original heritage, taken corn chips and smooshed them up. And that is actually the bottom layer of this bar here. So it is.
So think like a Snickers if it was an artisanal version, and then more delicious and with really good, healthy ingredients that meant something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't tell the Snickers people. Okay. And that is actually a chef who intentionally was creating candy bars with feeling that meant something and that we're using these good and thoughtful ingredients. Okay. Last up, we're going to space.
Yeah.
I don't know why space is getting these.
Space.
Shooting up into space. All right. We're moving to your blue. It's Bailey Hazen blue. This cheese we've picked for, I can't say it right, Lando Carlesian? You got it.
Yep.
You know.
It's not Kardashian. I know that much.
So Star Wars, that's where we're going. And specifically, why are we putting this one with Lando and Star Wars?
Okay, so
cool, fun cheese facts.
So fun fact. So the folks at the Cellars at Jasper Hill, which are the makers of this cheese, are kooky, and I love it. Right? So they're up in Vermont. They make this beautiful blue cheese that comes in a shape that we refer to as a truckle. Right? So it's almost like a cylinder. And they realized if you cut it in half this way and you hold it up against the night sky, it looks like the moon, right? And so there's very much like a cow that jumped over the moon. The man in the moon is made of cheese and all that sort of stuff. So what they've actually done at one point is they took a true story. They took a wheel of Bailey Hazen blue, cut it in half, and then attached it to a weather balloon and literally sent it up in space. Right,
so to the stratosphere, like we went out of this hemisphere into the next one.
Yeah, so this cheese has actually been to space, right? So of course we had to choose this cheese.
And came down and they ate it.
Yeah,
as I'm told.
Yeah, because Vermont.
I don't know how all that logistically works, but anyway, we'll follow up. But if you go look at their social, like it's all documented and everything. This cheese is an amazing natural rinded cheese. Definitely try the outside with it. It has won best unpasteurized blue cheese in the world. We know that we can sell raw milk cheeses or unpasteurized cheeses here in the U.S. as long as they're aged over 60 days. Really, that's the goal, is to showcase all the terroir. So what is that specificity of place that their cows graze on that makes this cheese truly unique, that if anybody made it anywhere else, they could never replicate the flavors of this cheese. It's one of our favorites. It's fudgy. How's it tasting right now?
It is so good. It's grassy, salty, just like we like it. It's got a little bit of that sort of like white pepper pop on the finish there. A little bit of fruity as well.
Yeah.
Some really nice kind of cocoa notes. So what we've done is we've actually paired it with the guava paste here. This is another local product. This is made just outside of San Antonio. And this is literally just guava puree, sugar, and lemon juice, right? But again, speaking of nostalgia, if you cut it just right, it's got the perfect texture of a fruit roll-up. Which again totally reminds me.
Who wrapped them around their finger and then you
100%,
licked it off, which is disgusting to think about kind of now. But anyway,
but
nostalgia.
Yeah, we didn't know about germs yet, so.
Guava paste, so one, eat it with the blue cheese, and what we're marrying is that salt with that sweet, trying to bring out a little more of the fruitiness in the blue. However, another great pairing to mix and match is it's classic to serve manchego with quince paste, or membrillo in Spain. So serving it with this is a fruit paste, it's just made with guava, so go back and mix and match this with your manchego as well.
And if you're feeling a little bit sousy like I am, or like Joan Wilder, then go ahead and pair that with this Primitivo. So Primitivo is a varietal that's native. It's a very close cousin to Red Zinfandel. So if you like that sort of like deep purple fruit flavor, you know, fresh cracked pepper spice, and that like lovely sort of jammy sort of like velvetiness, this is going to be the way to go for sure. So.
With that, okay, I think we did it. We hope you mix and match and have fun. Remember, once you open your cheeses, they're really best within 7 to 10 days. You can eat many of them afterwards, though. They just start to not be as awesome as that first moment. Let them come to room temp as you're enjoying them, because they're going to be so much more flavorful. And every one of these you can eat straight or mix into different salads. Put your Bailey Hazen on a steak. Sauteed with mushrooms. Okay, we could keep going.
I also think that you could just do a movie marathon this weekend and just start from Romancing the Stone all the way to Star Wars, and that'll give you plenty of time to finish all of them.
Yes. All right, challenge accepted. You're on. We hope you have enjoyed this trip through the 80s with us. Please, we would love feedback on our Antonelli's Cheese Club. We actually have always done lots of really cool themes, like cheeses made by animals grazing by the sea and how that affects them. But this is our first month to just kind of take a wacky turn.
Yeah.
But it gives us some freedom to really dive into the cheeses in different ways. So if you enjoyed this, or you would like us to stick to our regular programming, please let us know one way or the other. Thank you. Thanks for spreading the word, and thanks for being a member of Antonelli's Cheese Club.
Thanks,
Just be
y'all.
good. See you guys.